Some of you have had too much coffee. That would be you. Somebody ought to start limiting how much you can have on the break. Yeah, exactly. Well, good afternoon. How many of you for the very first time are here seeing me? First time? Never before? Oh, like all of you. Okay, fabulous. I've been doing this for 26 years. I've been all over the world. I've been to Norway 6 or 7 times. You sometimes think you're famous, but you come back, not so much. But anyway, okay, I have the privilege of talking with you today for just a little bit of time. And then tomorrow, a little bit of time. And then Sunday, we're going to spend a little bit more time. But I'm going to give you some material today on one of the most interesting parts of your business. I think one of the most important parts of your business, which is prospecting. Where are you going to find those customers? Where are you going to find those partners? It's very easy to put a slide up that we saw earlier that says, get 25. Just type it in a computer, save it, print it. Everybody goes, they write it down. How many of you wrote it down? I need to get 25. Got it. And then you go home and you pull your notes out. Notes, I need to get 25. And then all of a sudden it starts to dawn on you, I don't know how to do that. We're going to talk about exactly what to do. But before we get into the specifics of that, let me give you perhaps the most important piece of material I could have brought all the way from Seattle. The most important piece of information I can give you after being in this industry for 26 years. The number one factor that is going to determine your success in this company, the number one factor that is going to determine your success in life is how you think. How you think. The number one factor that's going to determine how this material I'm giving you is received by you is how you think. Always remember that. When you read the books, when you study the people that have gone before you, you're going to continue to hear that theme over and over and over again. In America, where I come from, back in the 1930s or 40s, whenever it exactly was, I'm not sure, Henry Ford, who started the Ford Motor Company, was quoted by saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So when I give you this information on prospecting, it's the same thing. Whether you think you can prospect or you think prospecting is going to be difficult for you, you will prove yourself right. But having said that, let me give you some material that will help you. I want to start in the beginning. I'm going to go back, tell you a real quick story here for me. When I came out of a publication, I was the editor of a business magazine called Upline Journal. And then I left that magazine to start building my own business. When I did, I wanted to find out how you could actually do this without advertising. Now, I'm not telling you that advertising is good or bad. I'm just saying I wanted to find out, could you build a business without advertising? Could you build a business if you didn't have a very good list? Some of you here probably in the room today, or some watching this later, will probably be thinking to themselves, I don't know that many people. So what if you didn't know anyone? If you had a list of 0, could you actually do this business? What if you didn't advertise? Could you do this business? What if you never spoke to someone who was involved in network marketing? What if you found someone who was with another competitive company, you just had a nice friendship with them, maybe you had a nice coffee with them, maybe you got them as a customer, but you never spoke with them about your business? How could you do? I wanted to find out. Here's the problem. Please write this down. I had no idea what I was doing. It's very important you understand that from the very beginning, because sometimes people will come up on a stage like this. You know, someone will be flown in, you'll hear all these rumors or stories about them, you'll have this big expectation, and then you'll hear them present and you'll think, this probably just came easy for them from the very beginning. No. I had no idea how to do this. I needed to figure this out. It would have been easy to put an ad in the newspaper. It would have been easy to make a list of 100 or 200 people. It would have been easy to use my reputation from Upline Journal and call other network marketers and say, come join me. That would have been easy. But starting out, as most people will, with not a very big list, with not a large reputation in the industry, with not knowing what to do, I wanted to find out, could you do this? So I went out and I started talking to people about my business. Some I told way too much. Did anyone ever done that? Just too much. And some I thought, okay, that didn't work. I'll just tell a little bit, just a little. See if I can kind of whet their appetite, so to speak. And somewhere in between, almost like the story, if you know the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where one bowl of porridge was too hot, one bowl of porridge was too cold, I finally figured out how to serve a bowl of porridge that was just right. But that came after doing it over and over and over again. So what I wanted to do is invite these people to my home so that we could do a home demonstration, a presentation. We picked the night, I had the people, I'd figured out how to get them there, and we had 17 individuals show up in our home in Lake Forest Park, Washington, on this particular Monday evening. It was November of 1993. At the end of the presentation, which, by the way, was broadcast into my home by satellite, so I didn't even give it. All I had to do was turn on the television set, sit back in my living room with these 17 guests, and we all watched television for about 1/2 hour. The presentation was explained to them. The product was explained to them. What they could do to participate was explained to them. It was all done on television. I didn't have to say anything. At the very end of the evening, all I needed to do was pass out the applications, sign them all up, and I was going to be rich. Because they obviously would be able to do this, and others would be able to do it, and so on and so forth. You know what's interesting? At the end of that particular evening, when the very last person left our home, anyone want to take a guess at how many people had signed up? 0. Remember what I said is the number one factor that will determine your success? It's what? How you think. My wife, who some of you have met before, who only stands about this tall, she loves Sweden. It's fantastic. Wow. Anyway, my wife, who is only about this tall, I looked down at her and said, as the last person left our home, those must be 17 of the stupidest people I've ever met in my entire life. What's wrong with these people? Why don't they see it? Why didn't they get it? Why didn't they sign up? The presentation was fantastic. The product was incredible. They were there in my home. They agreed to come. These weren't the people that said they would come and didn't come. They said they'd come and they came. No one joined. Do you know what I learned that night? What I did didn't work. Very simple. So, most people in this industry would have quit. I was there to figure this out. That should be one of your notes. Let me pass that information along to you. You should be here today and tomorrow and the next day with the hope of getting some information, some knowledge, some training that will help you figure this out. I can tell you in 26 years, I have never learned the magical first sentence. Now, you're going to have Tom Schreider here tomorrow, and if you've not heard Tom, Tom has some incredible first sentences. But if you ask Tom, are any of these sentences that sound so fantastic? And I promise you, when you hear them, you'll write them down. You'll write them down. But you'll ask Tom, do all of these sentences work every time with every person? What do you think he will tell you? No. You have to figure this out. If I lived in Helsinki I would make it a goal to figure this out. I don't have any idea there if you can go prospect people at 2 o'clock in the morning because the sun is still up in this time of the year. But I would try to see how people are. Now, if I saw they had a case of beer sitting next to them, half the cans were empty, I might wait until the following day. But I would try. I would figure this out. I don't know how close you can stand to someone in that particular country. I found it quite interesting being on the streets of Helsinki and finding that they had put the little cafes, but the seats were not facing each other. They were facing the street. So people, I guess, sit and have coffee. They don't look at each other. I don't know why that is, but it seemed very strange to me. But if that's how you prospect in Helsinki, you don't talk to them really, you just look into the street, tell them about coffee, have a little latte, speak. I mean, if that's how you do that, I would figure this out. If it's okay to turn, I would turn. Can you turn? If they go, ah, then I would turn back. And then you would remember, don't turn, or it's okay to turn, or you can turn after 1 cup of coffee. You have to figure it out. If I went to Stockholm, would it be different in Stockholm? I never saw any of the cafes set that way. I didn't see any of the chairs pointing toward the street there. Can you look at people in Stockholm and talk with them? I don't know. I would figure this out. That's the problem with most of us, is we want someone to tell us what to do. You give me the words, Michael, I'll go use them. No, I would give you the words and you would go try them. If the words didn't work for you, you'd say, that didn't work for me, and then you'd be right back to where you started. You need to have a mindset, I'm going to figure this out. Now, having said that, let me actually give you a few things that you can do. First of all, let me give you the attitude that you need to have going through this. Very important. If this has not become self-evident already, the attitude is you need to be willing to learn. And you need to be looking for other people that you also believe would be willing to learn. When I met someone, when I was talking to individuals about my business, I never looked at someone thinking, I wonder if they know how to prospect. What I would be thinking in my mind is, I wonder if they would be willing to learn. I will take somebody willing to learn over someone who thinks they know how every time. Because if I found someone who knew how, would they be able to teach others? But if I found someone willing to learn, if they could learn it, they could teach it. Very important to understand those distinctions when it comes to prospecting. Very, very important. The other thing we need to appreciate about prospecting is it's completely unnatural to do this. Which, by the way, is the reason you get paid the money that you get paid. I know a lot of you are thinking, this should be easier. I mean, wouldn't it be fantastic if you could walk out there and every person you'd walk up to, if all you had on was a Zinzino shirt and you walk up to people and they say, I've heard of that before. Do you have those machines? Can I get one from you? I have cash. And you think, that would be fantastic. That would be incredible. All I'd have to do is get up every morning, put on my shirt, walk around, and I would have 25, 30, 40 customers every single day. No, 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 no. If it were that easy, they wouldn't pay you any money for doing this. Why would they pay you a good amount of money if all you had to do was give them your web address and they would go on their own and sign up, and you would only get a few krooners per customer. They never have to pay you a royalty income. Why would they? If you said, oh, this is ridiculous, they find somebody else who would be willing to wear a shirt, walk around and get 25 customers every day. So prospecting is unnatural. It's not something that you were taught by your parents. In fact, if your parents were anything like my parents, your parents probably told you talking to strangers may cost you your life. Right? Did you ever have parents like that? The father who said children should be seen but not... Oh, okay. My family never came over here. Did yours come over and learn that from my father? Children should be seen and not heard. He also said this, don't speak unless you're... And whatever you do, don't talk to... Oh, brilliant. I'd love to have all of you in my business. Do you realize how deep that programming runs in your mind? Whether you said those words out loud or you just thought them, If you knew that information, it's part of who you are. Now, think about that programming for just a moment. You've been taught by your environment, parents, people you grew up with, whoever it might be, you've been taught by your environment that if someone approaches you and asks you a question, it's perfectly okay to respond. But you've also been taught that for you to go up to someone and to start a conversation would be wrong. And by the way, that's only if the people you're talking to or that are coming up to you are friends. If a stranger comes up to you, run! So now you come to a business like this. Someone suggests to you, make a list of everyone you know. You think that's fantastic. You write 4 names down. Then they say, call these people. And you can't pick up your mobile phone. And it's the new model that weighs nothing. And you're just like, eh. So then you start thinking to yourself, you know, today's Friday. Friday's probably not a good day to call them. Because if I called them today, this being Friday coming before the weekend, they might be thinking to themselves, I don't want to get involved in a business where you have to call people on Friday. I should probably wait until tomorrow. I'll call them on Saturday. So you just kind of tuck that away and then you wait until tomorrow and all of a sudden you're getting ready. You're going to call those 4 people because that you have them on your list. You're going to become very wealthy, being a partner, going all the way to the top with these 4. You're going to be the superstars that you have. These are all fantastic people, so you're just very excited. Now you call them on Saturday morning, or at least you think you're going to call them on Saturday morning, but you can't bring yourself to actually pick up the phone because it's Saturday morning, and they probably went out Friday night. And if they went out Friday night, they might have stayed out quite late, so they're probably sleeping in. You can't call them 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. When do you call someone on Saturday that's been out really, really late? I don't know when you call them. I probably shouldn't call them today. We'll call them tomorrow. Yes, Sunday would be a much better day. They'll be relaxed. They'll be thinking about work. They really won't want to go back to work. They'll have to go to work. Then I can tell them about my... And you see how this goes? And before long, you've literally talked yourself right out of the business. And you've done it because of how you think. That's all it is. So, how you think is the number one factor. Nobody knows how to do this. We need to be willing to learn. Your obligation is to what? Figure this out. That's your obligation. Figure this out. But I will tell you this. I gave you that information about that short list and not calling for a very important reason. In the English language, the word that you would be using to describe what was going on would be the word procrastination. Does that word translate into your language? Procrastinating. I want to, but I'm not moving forward. I know I'm supposed to, but I don't do it. Sometimes we know we're supposed to go do something, but we hesitate, we wait, we put it off, we just don't do it. Whatever word that would be, write that down in your notes so it's very clear. In English, I would say procrastination. But put it off, do it tomorrow, whatever it would be, so that you understand clearly what I'm saying. When you find that you're doing that when it comes to prospecting, you should get really excited. And I'll tell you why. Because that should be a signal to your brain that you're just not comfortable yet. The only reason we tend to put things off is that we're not comfortable. Maybe we don't want to give up that amount of time today. Maybe we don't know how to do it exactly. Maybe we want someone else to help us. Whatever it is, we just want to put it off because we're just not comfortable doing it yet. So when you find that you need to talk to people about your business and you're actually just not going out and doing it, get excited. And then get busy improving your skills. That should be a very clear message to you if you want all the benefits that come with being involved as a partner. If you want all the benefits that come from growing your business, if you want to be able to have the time and financial freedom at some point with your family, if that is truly appealing to you, then you need to get excited and go to work on your skills. Let me give you a couple of examples of what I personally learned when I went to work on my skills. Number one, the best book I ever read on this subject, I hope you read this book at some point. You can get it at probably any, bibliotech, I think it would be the word. We'd say library, bibliotech. You can go get the book there. You can go buy it and have it for yourself and keep it for your own. But the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book is absolutely fantastic at teaching you how to talk to people so that people will actually enjoy talking to you. And isn't that what this is all about? Nobody wants to talk to somebody and make them feel uncomfortable, see them backing up and the body language changing and they're trying to get further and further away. We don't want that. If you want to approach somebody about the business, you'd like to talk with them in such a manner that you can tell they feel comfortable around you. But your parents didn't teach you that. If you didn't learn that from your friends, if you didn't learn that from school, if you didn't learn that at university, if you didn't learn that in your job, you've got to take the time to learn it. And the best place to start is with that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Let me give you the most important piece of information I ever learned from that book. We've been programmed, as I mentioned earlier, not to talk to strangers, right? But here's what I learned in that book. It's perfectly okay for us to talk to friends. Yes? Any of you ever hesitate to call up your best friend and say, would you like to go for coffee? Would you like to go see a movie? What are you doing this afternoon? What are you doing this weekend? Did anybody here ever hesitate to call a friend? See what's going on? Just hang out? No. Perfectly okay to do that. So what we learn in the book is, when you talk to somebody that you don't know that well, you have to talk with them like they're your friend. How do you talk to your friends? That's how you talk to the person you just met. Because if you talk to the person you just met like they're your friend, they will relax and so will you. I've tried this so many times sitting next to people on airplanes. Fantastic. Person sitting next to me pulls out a pack of gum. Now, if my friend had pulled out a pack of gum, what would I say? Give me some gum. Try that with a stranger on an airplane. It's fantastic. They'll give you gum because no stranger would do that. Only a friend would do that. They won't even hesitate. They'll just, here, I was going to offer. There you go. We have a place in Seattle, I don't know if you've heard of this or not, it's called Starbucks. I love to go to Starbucks. My wife and I go there every day. And one of the reasons that we go there is because there's really nothing to do, so let's go for coffee. Anyway, so we go to Starbucks, but just to continue to prove this point to myself, I will stand where the barista is and wait for someone to come in and order one of these just ridiculous American beverages. You know, like I'd like a venti, extra hot, 2-pump, sugar-free hazelnut, extra soy, half latte, half calf in a. It's just, I don't even know how they make this stuff up in their head. What is it going to be when it's all done? It's not coffee, but they've got it down like they've done this before, right? Now, to show you that this works, when that drink comes out, you just say to them, let me try that. They don't know what to do. Their brain is like, something is not right here. I should not be giving my beverage to this person I don't know. But they don't know how to stop it. They just hand it to you because you've asked like a friend would. You take a drink out of it and hand it back to them. And it just validates that we will do almost anything if we feel comfortable, and we feel comfortable around our friends. So rule number 1, get that book, Carnegie's book, read it. But remember, the most important thing I learned from that particular book is people need to see you as a friend. Most of you that have come up so far and said hello, I don't really know you that well. I might have met you the time before, or might have just met you at this conference, or maybe you've been introduced. But my goal is that if you are one of those individuals that has already said hello, or if you're one of those people who gets a chance to say hello before we're finished, that when you walk away, you feel comfortable. That when you're talking with me, you feel comfortable. That's how I want this to feel. Not very uncomfortable, like we don't know each other and stand and shake hands and how are you and all that. You don't want that. Okay. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, I would say. Here's the rule, very simple. If you want to go from where you are in your business and start rank advancing through your company, you need to have this as a minimum daily requirement for your business. 2 new contacts every day. 2 new contacts every day. Now, please write all of this down. I don't want to be misquoted. It's 2 new contacts every day as a minimum. That means the least I can get away with. Minimum. 2 contacts a day. 2 contacts a day. If you take 1 day off, 6 contacts, that's 12 contacts in a week. 12 contacts in a week, 48 contacts in a month, over 500 contacts in a year. Even taking time off for holiday, you'll still have approximately 500 people you'll talk to. There's not one person in this room, I don't care how bad you think you are at this moment in time, there's not one of you in this room that 500 contacts from today, wherever I've caught you, would not have figured this out. 500 contacts from today, you'll know how close to stand to somebody before they feel uncomfortable. You'll know when you're too far away because you will have done it 500 times. And just like that old storybook fable, one being too cold, one being too hot, you will have done both of them. And you will have found this was too close and this was too far away. And you'll figure out about where you can stand. It's just right. Unless you're in Finland. Then you turn. But you'll know that because you will have been there. 500 contacts later, how many presentations will you have given? 500 contacts later, how many new partners will you have signed or sponsored? 500 contacts later, how many of them will have said, I'm not really interested in the business, but I would very much like to be a customer? 500 contacts later, you'll see your business grow 1 rank, then the next rank, then the next rank, then the next rank. But it takes doing about 2 contacts every day. For me personally, 2 contacts every day, and by the way, I didn't even do 6 days a week because I had a family. I only did about 4 consistently. 2 contacts a day, 4 days a week for me personally over a 10-year period of time, built an organization for myself and for my family that today in the United States has over 80,000 customers. Every month, all of those people spend a little bit of money, and the company takes a little bit of that money and sends it to me. And how did I get there? I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I made a decision to figure this out. I started reading the books that people recommended. I started getting the CDs and the tapes, audio tapes way back then that people recommended. I started trying the different things that people recommended. And I figured out this didn't work, even though it was in the book. It's supposed to work, says it works in the book. I did it a whole bunch of ways. It didn't work. Okay, well, it doesn't work. It's in the book. It still doesn't work. What do you do now? You figure it out. Is the book too American? Is it too in-your-face American? You know, kind of like that? And you're just a little bit more reserved in your country, so you've got to soften the approach? I don't know. You have to figure this out. It's the single most important thing you're going to do. Are you going to use the internet for building your business? I hope so. I hope you take the time to figure that out. I'm learning Facebook right now. Do you know what I know about Facebook? Nothing. I know nothing about Facebook. My son, who's 30 years old, said, you have to put... I'm really old. My son, who's 30, said you have to have a page, I don't know what you call it, a space. You have to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook, I told him. You have to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. You have to be on Facebook. And he kept telling me how many 10 million, 100 million, billion, I don't know. It seems like the whole world was on Facebook except for me. Don't want to be on Facebook. Social networking. I don't want to network anybody. I want to go to Starbucks and have a latte, and I want to find somebody and I want to have a conversation with them. He said, Dad, you are missing out on so much you have no idea. So I said, you know what? You're probably right. So guess what I'm attempting to do now? Figure this out. I have like 2,048 friends, I think, when I left. I don't know any of these people. Oh, one of them. Okay. Hey, friend. Hey, friend. Oh, look at you. Oh, my Facebook friends are in this room. That's fantastic. I don't know what to do with the 2,000 people. I'm not building a business anymore. You know, you log on and they want to talk to you. They start popping things up at the very bottom. Hi. If you see me log out really, really quickly when you did that, it's because I don't know what to do. It literally took me about 2 or 3 months before I figured out I could type something next to what they said and then push a button and it would go back to them. I didn't know that. It just popped up. But you can figure this out. Some of you are probably sitting here thinking, I don't want to do social networking. I don't want to go home and spend all my life on the computer. I don't want to have a laptop. I don't want it to go with me everywhere. I don't want to get a new iPhone. I don't want to just be looking at this thing all the time. I want to actually have a life. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. But if that's not you, fantastic. There are other ways of building your business. My 2 favorites. Number 1, business events. I loved business events. In a city the size of Oslo, in Stockholm, in Helsinki, in Copenhagen. You know, you can't do this in really tiny towns. If you live in the middle of somewhere where there's like 8 people and you're one of them, then this won't work for you. But if you're in one of those particular cities or you have partners who are, find out where the business events are taking place and go. My favorite were the investment seminars. I built my business around the investment seminars because people went to investment seminars to learn what to do with their money. Now think about this, so they could at some point have more. They were willing to give up an afternoon, give up an evening, give up a weekend to come sit in a seminar to listen to a speaker who was probably trying ultimately to sell them some type of a stock or a bond or an investment. But they were willing to come to that because they wanted more than what they currently had. Trade shows. I loved going to trade shows. My favorite trade show, I look forward to it every year. I would get enough leads from this trade show. Now, I didn't get a booth at the trade show. I just walked around like everybody else because for about $10 US, I have no idea what that would be over here. 6,000 krowners. No, probably like 6, really. I went the wrong direction. Our money's worth nothing. But, yeah. But we have a new president. I can tell you I don't have to apologize as much as I once did. I mean, I spent like 4 years, 8 years walking around. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't vote for him. I want nothing to do with him. I'm just from there. I'm really sorry. Now you travel around, people are like, you're from America. Yeah, I am. It's a different feeling. Anyway. I would go to the trade shows. My favorite was the lawn and garden show, or some people call it the home show, because people who had a house, but they didn't like it, they didn't like their kitchen, or they didn't like their yard, they wanted to do something more to the house, these people would come and they would look at all kinds of ways that they could put money into a house to make it better. But guess how many of the people that went to that show had the money? Very few. So I would just walk around and look at people, and they'd be standing, a couple, they'd be standing talking, oh, wouldn't that be fantastic? Oh, if we had a patio like that, it would be so wonderful. We could have our friends over, we could do a barbecue. And they'd be all this like, wouldn't it be great, wouldn't it be great? And I would say to them, if it's so great, why don't you just order it? The guy will probably take your order while you're here. And then we'd start a conversation about they don't have the money. I'd get their contact information, follow up with them later, fantastic. But figure it out. If you don't have trade shows in your area, find out what you have. If you don't like going to business events, what do you enjoy doing? If you don't want to go sit at the coffee shop and find somebody that you think would be perfect for your business and start a conversation, how are you going to meet your 2 new contacts every day? You've got to figure this out. I can tell you that I killed so many people in the very beginning because I didn't know what to do. But let me ask you this. In closing, if you were single and you didn't want to be single, and you found somebody that you thought, this could be interesting, and you invited them out, and they said, not interested, would you become a monk? Or would you go ask someone else? Remember that the next time someone says, coffee. Why would I want to drink coffee? It's just next. Home-based business, why would I want to do that? Next. You know, I have to talk to people? I don't want to talk to people. I don't even like people. Next. You just keep going until you find your 2 contacts every day. Those contacts will turn into presentations. We're going to talk more about that as the weekend unfolds. Those presentations will absolutely become customers and partners over time. And if you take the time to teach those people, one day you're going to wake up with 100. It'll be a little bit longer, but one day you'll wake up with 1,000. It'll be a while beyond that, but one day you'll wake up and you'll look at some computer-generated report from your company and you will have just crossed 10,000. And I'm looking forward to the next major journey for me when I pick up the report online, look at it, and I've crossed 100,000. And I'm just getting started. So if I can figure this out, you can figure this out. If I can stop by the library and get How to Win Friends and Influence People, you can go get that book. If I can recognize I didn't know what I was doing and take the time to learn, you can recognize you may not know what you're doing, and you can take the time to learn. If I realize that some people are going to say yes and some people are going to say no, you'll figure that out too. But what you have as an obligation as leaders, having come out here today, is to take some of the material that you're learning and go apply it so that your activity goes up, so that your dreams will come true. Thanks for listening.